Welcome back. This is Max Level EDC, and today we're going to do another one of our series, Gear of the Week. And there's a lot of different things to get through today. We have multi-tools, folding knives, and a lot more. So without any more delay, let's get started. First up, we have a new knife from Artisan Cutlery, or pretty new. And I saw this at Blade Show, and I thought the mechanism was pretty cool. So you have a conventional crossbar lock, but they have since changed it slightly because now you have the option to actuate it using a tab at the back. This is going to work like as if you grab both sides at the same time, and offers a really, really comfortable way to manipulate and disengage the lock. Now, you might be a little worried that you will disengage it accidentally. I don't think that being the case because of the amount of travel you need to have, and the spring tension is pretty high. In addition to that, it's low enough and positioned well enough, I don't foresee it being a problem. And if you're back here pressing like this, you're actually engaging the lock even more than it does by itself. So pretty damn cool. These are in AR RPM 9 steel. So if you're not familiar, this is an in-house production steel from Artisan Cutlery, and it is essentially 9CR18 MOV, but with more toughness due to the type of manufacturing that it goes through. Another steel that might be similar is 440C, but unlike 440C, you're also getting more toughness. So it's a really great budget steel, one of the better options out there, and the price point on this is really, really great as well. So just a good offering with both something a little novel and also just good execution in general. Like, it has a versatile clip, it has good texture on the G10, it has a nice thin slicey grind, which I like a lot. I like the shape, is kind of fun. There's not much there's not much to dislike about this knife. It just checks all the boxes. Affordable, fun, unique, right on. Good job, Artisan. Next is something kind of special. So BPS Knives are a company that I like quite a bit, but not necessarily for their folders, which they are having made in China, but rather for their incredibly high value fixed blades that they have made in-house in Ukraine. These are some of the best bang for your buck fixed blade belt knives that I have ever experienced. Full tank construction, very, very comfortable handles, 1066 carbon steel, 90-degree spines, all this good stuff, right, that they do. And I'm bringing that up and how much I like it because this folder, okay, so this folder is $60. That is one of the most competitive price categories, if you will, in the budget realm. And the number of practically perfect knives at 60, I was thinking about it a little bit earlier, and I could probably list 40 knives. No, I'm not exaggerating. 40 knives that are basically perfect, high value, and the only difference between them is based on preference, blade length, blade grind. Like, there just comes down to which one you're looking for. The problem with this knife from BPS is that, yes, it does hit a lot of boxes, such as G10 handle scales, Sandvik 14C28N, which is a Swedish stainless steel, one of the best budget steels. But then there's some things that it falls down on, and you can't really fall down on literally anything if you are making a knife at this price. So the first one is deployment. So this is this really cool back flipper, front flipper combo. The problem is that it's so flush with the handle, you really have to dig in there to make sure that you are actuating it. And I would guess that a lot of people who might already struggle are going to struggle even more with the deployment on this. In the future, I hope what they'll do is they'll extend this out ever so slightly. Probably about 1 millimeter would be enough, honestly, because the actual jimping on it is really well done, so it gives you a nice grip. It's just so flush to the handles that it doesn't quite deploy the way I want it. Now I do, yeah, like that. The blade shape, I like the blade shape. It's not something I see often. It's very, very slicey, very sharp out of the box. good plunge, not bad at all. And then also the pot clip, well executed, flush set with the frame and flush set screws, very, very comfortable, but could be reversible and isn't. It's not that this is a bad $60 knife. It's absolutely not a bad $60 knife. But then you realize, okay, this nice guy is 40. The Yonder is 60. The Baby Banters, those are about 60 bucks. The Voyager from Cold Steel, made in Taiwan, that's 60. The Airlight, that's about 60 bucks. I mean, I was going through my list, and my goodness, the number of knives you could pick from this is kind of insane. Heck, you can get the Raccoon, the Vosteed Raccoon in the crossbar variation for around 60. There are too many good knives at this price point for you to do anything other than perfection. You have to literally nail it perfectly with no slip-ups at all to even be remotely competitive with the market. It is just that overly saturated. Heck, the Yonder, I'm sorry, not the Yonder, the I just talked about the Yonder. The Klingman with a mill titanium clip. This is less than $60 right now. If I go lower, I can find the Miguron knives in 14C 28N with a basically perfect execution. I think this knife was as low as 40 with a mill-type clip and a hollow grind and a crown spine. This one, I got this one for under 50 bucks, milled titanium, PVD coated 14C micarta, okay? You can't miss anything if you're gonna make a knife at $60. And unfortunately, I don't know if they've done enough. I want them to have at least one Chinese-made folder that they can use to help support their company. I think it's a great idea. I think they should definitely do it. But whatever that knife is, can be nothing less than perfect. If it's $60, it has to be flawless. At 50, you're looking at the Maximal from CJRB, and you're looking at the Drop Bear 2, and you're looking at the Drop Bear in some cases. Like, the number of knives that you could access at this price range is insane. So this just doesn't cut it. That's all. It's not that it's a bad knife. It's just the way it is right now. So I'm going to move on from this. Awesome offering as a first try, but it's going to need to do better. If they really want people to get in on a folding knife from BPS, they're going to have to bring it up. They're going to have to do something different. Maybe do a button actuated compression lock. Maybe they need to do, I don't know. I don't know what you need to do. There's so many knives on the market. Like, the one we just covered is cheaper and actuates better and has reversible clip. You know what I'm saying? It's just really tough out there. And I don't know if this actually is going to be successful. Anyway, I want to move on to a new knife, which is phenomenal. Okay, I'm going to save the listing till the end, or at least somewhere in the middle of this video, because I could not believe how inexpensive this thing actually is for what it is. So we have 12C27. This is a knife from SRM, just has a number denomination. We have actually kind of like a steel integral kind of construction. It's a little bit different from what you've seen, but very, very, very stable. This only weighs, this is really cool, only weighs 1.6 ounces. It is super, super light. And it has like a damn near perfect flipper tab. So fast. Like, it comes out like a rocket. It's a slim profile, kind of like a CEO style knife. It has basically the full length for your hands because of that disappearing flipper, which I absolutely adore about the knife. And here's the rub. Here's the part of the knife that makes it insane. So this is 12C27, a Swedish Sandvik steel, G10 handle scales that look really nice, really cool, like little mini texture, an excellent flush pocket clip. Now, it is right hand only, so that, but all things are forgiven because the price for this is less than $20. I love this thing so much. This genuinely might be my favorite sub $30 knife, and it's so slim, in fact. And yes, you could very much use it in your left hand. It's so slim, it fits inside my Sidekick wallet. Like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm in. This thing is awesome. Absolutely freaking awesome. I happened to be passing by and saw it on Amazon. I'm like, oh my goodness, must get immediately, and it did not disappoint even in the slightest. D10 is good, jimping is excellent, handle texture is good, the pocket clip's great. This is essentially a knife that needs no help or improvement, and it costs only 20 bucks. Yeah, yikes. This thing is awesome. Please, SRM, I want to have a whole series of 12C27 knives from you that are in the same style of construction at around that $20 price. 20 to 25, maybe even 30. I want to see it because, damn, this is what I'm talking about. This is stupid high value. And it's a great indicator of the type of competition that other brands are going to have to bring to bear. So, love this one. I will leave a link down below. Just, God, yeah, more of this. Okay, thanks. Next, we have some utility knives to take a look at. And these are by Workpro. And what they're basically trying to do is add a little bit of an upgrade to one of their most popular selling utility knife blades. And these are very small, very easy to carry. And what they've done is basically they've added a section of G10 on top of them. Now you might ask yourself, is it worth the extra thickness? Yes, the answer is yes. It's a simple answer. And the reason is because of grip. There's a lot more texture now and a lot more comfort while holding it. And if you're going to use the tool hard, you're probably going to benefit from keeping the tool from slipping out of your hands or moving forward or back, depending on how hard you're pressing. So I actually really think that this is a great option, that this is a really cool thing that they're doing. But I got some questions. There's two distinct varieties that are like really, really close to each other, and they sent me both. One has a button lock and is really fluid, and the other one is a liner lock and is like kind of gritty and a little difficult to open. And it's not finger safe, of course, because, well, I mean, I guess it is because it's a utility knife blade, but it's not as easy to manipulate one-handed. Whereas this thing is like, you know, I've already put some lubricant on this one. I mean, this one is like gonna be free floating, right? It's much, much, much easier to flick out, closed, and at no point do you have to put your finger in front of the blade. I just don't understand why these need to exist at all. Just because these are just better. So if you are planning on picking up one of these or like a couple packs of these in the future, I do think the button lock is better. It has a deep carry clip. This doesn't. So it sits nice and deep in the pocket. You'll kind of forget it's there. It's more enjoyable. It's more fun. It looks better for some reason. I mean, there's a little lanyard attachment at the bottom, so you could use it technically as like a key dangler if you wanted to. Whereas there's none of that here. Like, there's almost no reason I can see to pick up the liner locked variation over the button lock. Okay? Now, I think, yeah, this one I already put some lubricant on, and it is a lot smoother out of the box. And all you really need is just a little bit of super lube in there, and it's going to get all nice like. So just a little bit here, and then you're good to go. And yeah, that's pretty much all it's going to take. And this thing's going to be smooth as silk. There we go. Yeah, there we go. With a nice little smooth action. That's it. Like, these are just so much better than the liner lock version. I just don't know why anyone would buy that. Okay, so that's my only qualms. They're both really cheap. I think you can get like a 2-pack of these for less than 10 bucks. I got nothing wrong with these. I like the new added textures. Just don't bother with the liner lock version. Just go straight to the button lock. That's pretty much all I got to say. Let's move on. Now, on the subject of utility knives, I have a premium one made right here in the US by GILTEK. Now, I had not tried out the new variation, and man, has he perfected his art. This is a single piece of titanium, and it actually allows the blade to fit in 2 different positions right there, and then all the way out like you see. And it's very, very comfortable in hand. It's a really nice tool. It even has a little socket for holding a 1/4-inch bit driver with a stop on it. It has a place for a pocket clip if you want to add it. Highly recommend checking this guy out. His work is just phenomenal. But it isn't just this that I wanted to showcase. He recently got into partnership with Lowe's, and you can actually get this basic mechanism in a inexpensive 3-pack of utility knives basically anywhere you want to go. So I'll leave a link to that. I'm really happy for him, because every time you make that purchase or use those utility knives, you're actually helping out this small company because of his intellectual rights. So I love that, and I just wanted to make you aware not only that these are really good options if you're looking for a premium version, but there are also ways to support him while also buying inexpensive utility knives at Lowe's. That's really, really cool. There are aluminum options. I think that if you're going to buy the American version, you should go with the one that's going to have the strongest prying option, which is the titanium. They are going to be more expensive for sure, but so worth it. These things will last a lifetime. Great utility knife. Fantastic option. Does have a bottle opener, of course, and of course the 1/4-inch driver, and a place to hold it with a lanyard if you want to, pocket clip, yada yada. Very cool, and congrats to them again for getting the design through at Lowe's. Now, up until I think it was like a couple years ago, I was carrying a ROVYVON U4 Pro pretty much almost every day. I mean, tons of videos showcasing the use of this thing. I'm really enjoying it. And there's actually more good now than there was in the past because the bits that it uses are more readily available. We'll talk about that in just a second. But it's a keychain carabiner, but it has a lot of little hidden features. This itself is a multi-tool. So you have, and you got to press the button down to get access, a locking 4mm bit driver, a double-sided 4mm bit driver. Now, it was always a little bit difficult to source bits for this, but I have recently come across this company, Strabito, and they make very inexpensive access to the double-sided bits. You have some that have Torx and some that have Phillips and flathead drivers, and you can find other places that do it as well. I think you can even find double-sided bits from Olight and others that will let you supplement the tool set for this. So that's a really great thing that didn't exist a few years ago. And then in addition to the double-sided bit driver, which is I think a number 0 with a small flathead, you also get a locking and lock in place scalpel holder. So it's actually a scalpel holder, not a craft blade holder. In the box, you're going to get a bunch of spares as well, so you don't have to go out and find those. They're a little bit harder to find than your run-of-the-mill craft holders. If I'm going to make one recommendation to ROVYVON in the future, I would like to see them create a craft blade holder instead of a number 11 scalpel. Now, the scalpel actually has this little shape that tapers down, which is kind of ideal when you have a situation where the blade is like sitting like this, because you would have that tip super close to the top with a craft blade. But with the lock mechanism, which is different from the past generation, it may not be as big of a deal, right? Because you can angle it down a little bit more, and it's not going to pop out accidentally like the past version might have. So even though I think there's some benefits to not having the lock, so you can quickly deploy it without, one-handed, which I did like, I see the value that this offers. And if you're really dexterous, you might be able to press that down and unlock it like I just did. And then same thing, press that down with your other finger and then press this. That is possible. It's just not particularly easy. So the U4 Pro in titanium, they've made some nice improvements, changed the little hook shape to make it a little bit more secure. It's got a nice spring tension. You can set your keys down here and you can attach this to a belt loop. That's a cool option. Very light, and gives you a lot of the things you might want from a multi-tool. And if you do travel with it, you can just take out that scalpel blade and then you're good to go. They're probably not going to notice, but you should do that anyway. Very cool offering from ROVYVON, and it's one of my favorite things that I've tried in the past. Now we're moving on to the subject matter that I am closest to, and that's multi-tools. This is probably my favorite category of gear, and I explore this subject quite heavily. And one of those subcategories is budget multi-tools. I get a lot of questions about which ones I recommend. People tell me, oh, I swear by this or that or the other thing. This is one of those tools that people continually say, well, this one is great. I'm not even going to go into it very much because I have a budget video coming up, but the PERWIN, whatever the hell this thing is called, it is by no means a high value option. It is certainly not one I would recommend at the $25 price, even at the $20 price. There are far, far better multi-tools in existence at exactly the same amount or less. My goodness, we could talk and talk and talk about this. I'm not even going to bother opening up. Let's just say I did have a chance to play with it. I did want to buy it to confirm what I thought I already knew, and that this is definitely not the tool to buy between $20 and $25. The $20 tool that you're probably looking at is something like this Workpro, which has a better tool set overall. They also have wave clones with full 1/4-inch bit drivers that are going to be better at around 25. And then if you go to 30, well, then the whole thing explodes and you start having way better tools than what you're seeing here. Like, so much better. It's ridiculous. I wouldn't even put this, so if I was to do a top 10, top 20 list, this wouldn't even rate. To put that in perspective, it wouldn't make a top 20. That's how much farther down I think this actually exists. So because of powerful marketing on Amazon and because of sponsorship ads, people are buying these things left and right in the hundreds and hundreds a month, but they are definitely buying the wrong thing. This is a far worse multi-tool than others that you can find for exactly the same price or even less. So that's all I'm going to say about it. Just don't. You're wasting your money. There's better things to be had out there. And in my upcoming video, we're going to talk about that more about budget multi-tools that are, in fact, really good. Now, speaking of being taken advantage of, okay, on first glance, you'll see this show up on Amazon and you'll think to yourself, wow, that looks so good. But if you're not immersed in the subject matter, and I think I might be one of the few people that are, you might not realize that they are literally charging you twice as much as what you should be paying for this. Now, let me go grab the, because I actually have my budget multi-tool lineup set up for my next video. This is a quite literal copy of the Gordon multi-tool from Harbor Freight. Okay, it is the literal thing with color, and they are charging $80 for it, but you can go to Harbor Freight and get one of these for $40, and it's going to have a 90-day, no questions asked return policy. Like, oh my goodness, like, do not be taken advantage of getting this thing. I got it specifically to make sure you guys don't get suckered. Now, is it a good tool if it was the right price? Sure. If this was $40, we'd be having a different conversation. It would be nice to have an option from Harbor Freight and then one from Amazon. Except that we're not in that situation. We have somebody trying to take advantage and make a lot more profit than they should be making on a tool that you can get for way cheaper. Now, this tool is much better than you might expect because unlike the Leatherman Wave, which is what it's based around, it actually has a serrated blade with a pull cutter, like the Charge, and it even has a glass breaker here, while still having an included removable clip and a hidden lanyard ring right there with a sheath. So the funny thing about the Gordon a tool, which you can get at Harbor Freight today, is that they used to compare it to the Leatherman at 120, but now that there's no sheath with the Leatherman Wave, it's actually 40 versus 140, which I find very hysterical. And if you include the clip with the Wave, then it's 150 versus 40, which is even funnier. Okay, so I'm not even gonna bother or even give highlight to this tool. I do see my content being pirated and used against my wishes, so I'm not even going to open the damn thing. What I'm telling you right now is you should not be taken advantage of. Do not buy a strictly more expensive tool with a strictly worse warranty, and don't be taken advantage of. That's what I'm basically saying here. If they drop this price to 40, we might come back around and talk about it, but in the meantime, unfortunately, there are hundreds of people who paid way too much for a budget multi-tool when they could have gotten something a lot cheaper. Now you know, hopefully, and you won't have to deal with it. Now, on the positive end of things, after Leatherman announced that they're not going, well, they didn't really announce it, but as they changed their policy August 1st of this year about including sheaths and pocket clips and so on with so many of their tools, I went on the hunt for inexpensive sheath options that you could use, and I found this one. And for the price, I'm pretty pleased with it. So the quality control is actually pretty good. It has both a clip option and underneath, it's allowing you to have a pass-through for your belt. The combination is nice. So in situations where you want extra security, you can do that. Or if you want a little bit more convenience coming on and off, maybe you're going in and out of a vehicle would be a good example, then that comes into play. And the sheath, which has a magnetic closure, I do like that, has a lot going for it. So this is a Leatherman Surge, and you can see there's plenty of space inside this. This was going to have no trouble with some of the largest multi-tools out there. Let me, I need the center drive. There's this. Center drive would be a good example. What else? Oh yeah, the dual force. Where's the dual force? I think this is it. Yeah, there we go. Dual force. Yeah, these two tools, some of the biggest ones out there. The dual force, I think, is definitely the biggest. And no trouble at all. And in fact, there's enough space to put that scissor to make this tool set better. And there's also a pouch in the back. So if you got bits, you can put in there. And it has not one, but two side pouches with stitching at the bottom. So they actually have a closed bottom. And this is wide enough you could easily put a AAA flashlight. So I think for the price, it's a little bit bulky, but pretty good. Honestly, not bad. I'm going to keep looking for inexpensive options that at least give you some more benefits than a conventional Leatherman sheath, which is now 20 bucks. Yeah, this one's not bad. So far, so good on my investigation towards sheaths. I can recommend this one at the price that it is offering. So it's pretty good. I gotta say the stitching, honestly, if I gotta be honest, the stitching here is some of the better I've seen. Yeah, like for real. Like this is actually, anyway, very good. Definitely can recommend that one. Nice option for probably not just multi-tools, but this could work out to be a small toolkit option as well. Next up, we have two tools, and I'm grouping them together because the parent company is the same. And I think it's worth kind of putting them together so we can also see how they fit with other tools in their lineup and everything else. So I'm going to pull them out. They're basically built around the same platform and design. They have the same blades, which is in 7CR. I'm actually okay with that. That's great. They also have similar bit systems, similar frame designs. You can see the similarities here. They're very, very, very similar. The saws are identical. This one has the carabiner and the ferro rod option, which of the two, this is definitely the better of the two. But they also have the same flaws. So I want to kick things off talking about the plier head specifically. They list this particular one as CNC'd. Now we already covered, where is it? We already covered a multi-tool which has a CNC'd plier head. Now this one from Mossy Oak, they actually gave me a video proving that they did in fact CNC mill this thing. And I feel confident enough that they wouldn't have claimed it if they couldn't prove it. And this one I'm pretty pleased with overall, especially for the value of $35. The issue I have is that I can tell right away, just because of the imprint in the part that says stainless steel, that there is a 0% chance that this thing is not cast. You can tell by so many different things. You can tell by the texture down here at the pivot. You can tell by the fact that this is not made with a CNC machine. I think there was some lost in translation or something like that, but this is definitely not the case. It is for this one, it's not for this. So I was already like making me feel a little bit about it. And then on top of it, the 5mm bit system. So both of these come with double-sided bits, okay, with ball detents. Now for the one that has the striker, it sticks in the end, which I think is a very clever design. I do like that, I will admit. But the problem is 5mm bits. I challenge you to find me a single set of 5mm bits freaking anywhere. I've never seen them, ever. Double-sided with ball detents? I mean, that's a unicorn. You're basically going to have to buy them directly from the company. It was a huge mistake either not to go with 4mm, which is a precision bit driver that everyone has, or 1/4 inch. Or even, I would even accept your Leatherman style flat bit, because those are becoming more and more widely available with bit kits from Galvanox, from Nextool, from other companies. They're starting to show up in more places, making them a lot easier to deal with. But 5mm bits? No idea what you're supposed to use those for or how you're supposed to replace them if you lose them. Now, both of these tools have the same inner tool set because they are kind of built around the same frame design. The only difference is that instead of the carabiner, which actually I like the carabiner thing better than this bit driver, and the way they've incorporated it is pretty genius. This is the 4mm double-sided bits. So once again, we are dealing with the same problem on this model. Okay, the tool set. On the inner tool, there are some good and there's some bad. Like the reamer all here is actually really nice and thick, and it's nice and narrow, so it's gonna have less torque on it. So this cutout won't be as big of a problem, won't be as big of a weak point. They have the flathead, which has a file on it, which I hate because you're adding a tool that doesn't want to twist with one that does. That's kind of annoying. And then, of course, we have a singular can opener, which does have a V-notch wire stripper, but why the heck are we not going with a Leatherman-style combination tool, which can also be used a package opener, yada yada, and then we have saved space, and we could potentially put something else here, maybe a scissor? You get my point. I'm not a huge fan of the inner tool set on this. The reamer is good, the reamer all is good, and the rest of the tools are like okay. The weight on this, the one thing I will say that I like about this tool is I do like the weight. This thing is only about 8 ounces, and a lot of the similar tools, let me see if I can find it. Okay, where is it? Is this, here it is. Okay, so a lot of similar tools weigh a lot more. So this, which by the way, Mossy Oak also makes a variation of this, is definitely the better of the bunch, but it is also quite a bit heavier at around 9.5 ounces. Now, for that extra weight, we get 2 additional long tools. So we get a scissor and we get a diamond file with a crosscut file. And I would argue we also get a better internal set of implementation as well, with a glass breaker and a standard 1/4 inch driver and a ferro rod that is quite a bit bigger than the one that is on this version of the Mossy Oak. So, why? Why do we need it? I don't know. I'm all about Mossy Oak and Workpro, which is all owned by the same company, getting into this market and doing a great job and crushing it. And they did that, in my opinion, with their $20 multi-tool. But these other two, and they absolutely did it with the $35 G10, CNC mill. This thing is a monster. These two, amazing. These two, Why? Like 5mm bits, ew. Like the tool set, ew. Like they did such a good job with these two. It feels silly that they have these others, and these are not the only ones that Mossy Oak and Workpro have available, especially if we include Mossy Oak. There are a whole bunch of fantastic wave clones being offered at the same price and with better tool sets. That's not a good thing to be releasing a new product and have them be strictly worse than ones you already have. That's my thought. So I like this design more. If you change the inner small tools to be a little bit better, with a scissor and a flathead that doesn't have a file, like basically making it a little improved to be good. And then if you change this to like a flat 1/4 inch bit instead, now you have something interesting. The other part that I didn't mention, and this is true about both models, is that the saw is actually quite a bit shorter than it could be. There's a whole bunch of extra space. So you could gain another 1/4 inch of saw length, and saws are almost directly proportional, like in usability, to their length, right? The longer they tend to be, the more useful they are, the fewer strokes you have to make, the faster you make the cut, etc. Also, sometimes you have to put less pressure because you don't have to remove as much material in each part of the stroke. So regardless of how you look at it, good, not so good. High value, low value. Competitive, very competitive, not so competitive. All right, I probably could have made this section in like 4 minutes, but I wanted to kind of go into some of the more detail. Anyway, that's pretty much it for today. Thanks for stopping in and hanging out with me. As always, thank you for your time, and we'll talk again soon.